It's end of 22 and traditional social media goes straight to hell. If Musk did not manage to kill Twitter yet, European Union sure will manage to slay American social media platforms. In the world where blue tick means paid scam, decentralized social media levels ground with platform media. Of course I should self-host my own fediverse server. Well, everybody heard about Mastodon, but who actually looked what you need to run it? Ruby, Sidekick, Redis, Postgres and Node.js. So much moving parts. This is exactly what will make enterprise architects scream in orgasm. As I'm not architect, such complexity for us alone just make me cringe in bash script. It would seem that as Mastodon is just an implementation of ActivePub, there should be other decent servers, right? Unfortunately no. There is GoToSocial, which uses ideal stack for self-hosting, Go plus SQLite. My attempts to get GoToSocial failed, seems it too much in alpha. A lot of features just do not exist yet. Pleroma has been declaring low footprint previously. No ado grew Mastodon and even Miskey in memory bloat and future crapped itself. Fortunately, some humble users of Pleroma forked it in the form of akkoma. It's stripped down version of Pleroma with some additional nice features. Akkoma as well as Pleroma runs only on Elixir and PostgreSQL. Surely I should try it out. First we need to choose VPS. As I know Hetzner, and Hetzner has relatively good price performance ratio, let's go with it. Actually, it could be anything at least 2 GB of RAM and somewhat fast enough CPU, but I'm going for just cheapest and simplest option here. So it's total going to be around 5-ish euros. So doesn't matter where this is located, probably better to close to you. Let's choose Rocky Linux because it's spiritual successor of CentOS after Red Hat just acquired CentOS. And type, and it's just simplest 2 GB of RAM, 1 VP CPU to 20 GB SSD. It will be enough for us. Don't forget to add SSH key. Also, we don't need any volume. We need firewall. Just add there SSH port. And that's it. We don't need to add 800 or HTTPS there. And just leave it as it is, and let's name it somewhere like minbash fediverse. Created by now. We're basically ready to go. It will be booting quite fast. So let's log into newly created server. Okay, vim Linux config. I need to configure Linux from permissive to enforcing. Linux is context-based permission system. It's very nice to have to enable it, and we need to reboot after that. It's not yet there. Okay, now we're inside. Now we need to stop using root as our user add minbash. Okay, we added user minbash. Now we need to add it to group view. User mod minus -g view minbash, and by adding to view group, we enable sudo for minbash user. So now what we can do, we can set password for this user. Now what we need to do, we need to configure SSH to stop accepting passwords. That's very bad. And we need to check if pub key authentication is yes. and we need to change permit root login from prohibit password to basically no. Like root login should be prohibited. Now we need to restart SSH. And it's better to check and separate the terminal if we screwed up something. Yes, I have to enter as min bash now. This is expected. This is not expected. Maybe I need to. Alright, I need to write a SSH key to my newly created user. Min bash. Because we already have SSH folder for root user, we can just copy it over and change owner to min bash. Okay, now we should be able to enter. Okay, now we entered and we secured and hardened our server from outside world, and firewall is handled by Hetzner, so we don't need to configure it. We could go with just empty firewall here. Okay, this is little hardening that we have to do. It's definitely not enough, but it's like 5 minutes of manual work to make things gradually more secure. Let's also install Donf Automatic. This will enable automatic updates for our packaging system. Okay, Zoom is pretty quick these days, I see. So now we need to enable it. I don't remember what is name of service. Let's check it out. Okay, so this is a timer we have to enable. Automatic. Okay, nice. So it's already working. So this service will be upgrading our server in background for us, which is great. Now let's go install our akkoma server. First we need to install some pre-requirements, of course, and we're going to go for Docker install, of course. So let's check what we need actually. We need Docker, we need Docker Compose, we need obviously Git, and probably something else, but let's see. So let's go for Docker first, and CentOS install, because Rocky Linux, as we remember, is basically CentOS. Okay, so first of all we need to install umutils, I guess, to install Docker, and install config manager with actual repo. So we installed repo, and let's install actual Docker with already Docker Compose plugin. And these days Docker Compose is shipped as plugin. Now we have Docker installed. Let's check if it's started. Check what we need actually. We need Docker, we need Docker Compose, we need obviously Git, and probably something else, but let's see. So let's go for Docker first, and CentOS install, because Rocky Linux, as we remember, is basically CentOS. Okay, so first of all we need to install umutils, I guess, to install Docker, and install config manager with actual repo. So we installed repo, and let's install actual Docker with already Docker Compose plugin. And these days Docker Compose is shipped as plugin. Now we have Docker installed. Let's check if it's started. No, it's inactive. We need it in active state, of course. And let's start it. Okay, now it works. Other thing is we need to check if we have Docker Compose. We don't, but we actually have this docker compose command. Let's create a symlink then. RPM, okay, and then we need to create a symlink. User bin docker compose, and we should have docker compose. Yes, nice, because this is actually what required by akkoma. Okay, so we have around 2 GB of memory, but it will be not enough to install, compile, and run akkoma actually. So we're going to go for a trick here. We're going to add swap file, which does not exist now, and if it will be not enough memory, we will be swapping, which is totally fine. We're not serving any real users besides ourselves. So let's do that. An old trick to create a swap file, we just need to create an empty file. And the easiest way of doing it, of course, digd command, dev0, that will be just generator of emptiness here. And we write to root directory here. Let's call it a swap file. Oh no, we need to say, for example, 1 MB, just to easy count. We need to say how much we need. So let's create 4 GB file. And let's wait a little bit to fill up 4 GB. Yeah, this is quite fast. We need to say mk_swap, so it will create some headers in file. Yeah. So we also need to fix permissions. Okay, now let's mount it in the swap like this. Root swap file swap default 00. We mount this file like a swap. We need to say swap on minus I think. Yes, now we have swap. Awesome. Now we have 6 GB of memory. Now we need to do another pre-requirement, and this is actually also for security. We need to add a akkoma specific user add akkoma, and user mode -a -g docker akkoma. So akkoma can use docker. And now we're ready to go. Let's see if we have if we can start actually. Okay, first thing that we need to do is to clone it's quite big. So now we need to we go to akkoma folder, and I guess we need to prepare some environment here. Docker resources env to .env. So let's edit this file. Let's see what's inside. Okay, I guess I don't want to use dbpass, just a comma. Let's say it will be some random thing here. And let's see. Okay, so this we need to configure our Docker user. Okay, now we need to build akkoma. Let's try to build it on Docker resources build sh. Okay, now it's starting building inside of Docker. Yeah, as we already can see, it takes much more memory than we actually have. If we didn't upgrade our server with this fake memory, this swappable memory, we will be not able to actually build it. Okay, so it's quite fast on build. Let's see. Okay, actual compilation is here, so this step will be actually slow. Okay, let's mkdir pg data. This is where our database is gonna sit, and mix depths git. So probably this will take our dependencies, install dependencies for Elixir application. I don't know. Probably yes. Not deps git, deps get. Okay, I guess now we're ready to compile, which actually will take much more time. It's very satisfying to look on things like this. Yeah, of course, please install rebar free. I don't know what it is, but let's install it. After compilation of our source code, let's configure our instance by generating config for it. This will be command line wizard. Okay, now we're able to configure our instance. Let's say social minbash.com, so this will be our domain in use, and let's leave it like that for domain name, and our domain email will be this, no reply at social minbash.com. Yes, I want search engines to index my site. Yes, I want to control my instance via UI. And hostname will be db because this is what we configured. Akkoma, and we need to supply what we configured before in the .env file. Okay, let's copy this over. No, but we can enable it later. Let's leave it like that, and this we need to set to 000 because otherwise we will not be able to connect to our instance. This will be default, and yes, I want to strip down GPS, I want to anonymize, I want to deduplicate files, and this is the configuration. And now we need to start up our instance. This will be quite simple. We need to copy this generated file to its natural location where it will be used by our instance. And now we need to set up database basically. First we need to start database instance. And now we need to just set up database. This will just create a database for us, user, etc. Extensions. And again, we need to supply user here, user password. Yes, this is expected, and we just need to stop this dormant instance of Docker container. Okay, so next step is actually do database migration. This will be a little bit on long side. After migration, we are ready to start our instance. So basically, let's say docker compose up -d. So this will start our containers, and let's monitor what is happening inside with command docker compose logs akkoma, and this should be already working. Let's see if we can reach a web interface via curl. Not yet, it's still starting up. Yes, it's still starting up. Yeah, so this is expected output, but we're not ready yet to access it via browser because we need to configure somehow ingestion, and this could be either web server. So in case of this documentation, they suggest to use KDE, or Nginx, for example. You can use Nginx, but we're going to do another thing. We're going to configure Cloudflare and Cloudflare tunnel. So basically there will be no web server in front of our akkoma service. Instead, we're connected directly to Cloudflare, so we need to go to Cloudflare Zero Trust, access tunnels, and let's create a tunnel. Let's name it, say, minbash fediverse demo. It's pretty simple. This part should be, it's actually secret, and please don't show it to anybody. That's fine that I'm showing it to you, because this tunnel will be already destroyed. First of all, we need to select Red Hat type, because we're installing on Rocky Linux and we need Red Hat. We also need to choose architecture, and 64-bit is okay for us. So here we will install RPM package with tunnel, and basically just start it. So let's copy it over and run. No, we need to run it as a root actually. As a security measure, you might as well inspect if this is actually RPM file before installing it like that, and verify from where it is downloading. So now we should basically see our tunnel here. It's a WireGuard tunnel right here. Okay, now we need to connect it to domain. I'm choosing one of my own domains, which is minbash.com, with subdomain of social. Domain will be minbash.com. We don't need to select path. And type of service here will be HTTP. So this will be public part. And this part is where tunnel will be connecting to our service. So we need to supply to the same address that we were using when we were testing akkoma instance. So this will be a local host with 400 port basically. And it's healthy. So basically this social minbash.com should be already working. Let's take a look. Ta-da! First of all, we need to install now content. Mix command. Okay, let's go to akkoma. Manage. Yeah, we need this manage SSH, which basically just shells into a container. And we will use this mix. So this will just install default pleroma frontend. See if it's actually done. Yes. And now we just need to install admin UI. It's pretty much similar. Now we installed our frontends. Let's see if it's actually changed something. And yeah, ta-da! We have our pleroma akkoma active pub server up and running. We still need to polish some things, so let's do that. So first of all, we need to get rid of this disgusting broken SSL here. So what we need to do, we go to our DNS configuration in Cloudflare, we go to SSL TLS page, H certificates, and we make sure this always use HTTPS toggle is enabled. Let's check if it works. Yeah, awesome. So now we enforce HTTPS. So now let's get back to actually creating users. Again, we're going to use this manage command. And it's pretty much straightforward to use it. basically we just need to supply username and email. And so let's say super admin will be our admin. And we can also follow someone, right? So for example, we can follow netcat at min-bash social min-bash.b. So this is basically my real instance, and you can follow me there if you want. So now we need to configure our instance to do some tweaks and checks what's actually configured there, and we will use our super admin here. Okay, now we need to click this button and we can use this administration panel. Let's see what we have in configuration. So for example, in activity pub, so for me this is fine. And let's check an authentication. This is also fine. Because we don't use this. And captcha, yeah, we have captcha enabled. But basically what we need to do, we need to disable registration, because if it's your instance for your users and before you actually want to allow registration, is to be very familiar with software and actually fediverse. So we need to disable registrations. We go to settings, instance, and scroll to registrations, open, and we just disable it basically. You may also want to enable or disable federating. If you don't want to federate, I don't know why you're using this software. I suggest you leave it federating here. Other things that you might want to configure right away is if this is public or not instance, and it's up to you. I leave my interactions public. Other things that you might want to configure is welcome panel, and you might want to just configure something here like welcome to my humble instance on min-bash. If you actually want to have working registration, then you have to have mailer enabled. I suggest to go for some easy way with AWS Sender or any of this Mailgun, Mailjet, doesn't matter. Whatever works for you. I'm not going to go to explain how to configure it. This is pretty much simple. You just use any of these services and that's it. Another thing to not forget is actually terms of service. You may borrow these terms of service from other instances. They're usually under GPL license. I also suggest to disable unauthenticated anonymous users to see federated timeline. So what federated timeline is basically here. This known network you see on my social minbash2t instance. I am authenticated as super admin, and you see there are a lot of stuff here. And if I go as unauthenticated, I cannot see it. And what we need to do, we basically just say we stop people from doing it. And the other thing to do, you may also want to block some instances because you don't want to federate with them, because it's up to you why, but that may be legal reasons, for example. And to do that, you have to go to MRF and invoke here simple policy. And now you have multiple different options what you can do. For example, you can do media removal, tag it as not safe for work, or basically just reject everything. So for example, we can say avocado farms, for example, and say this is illegal content. And now everything from this instance will be blocked.